Welcome to our new bi-weekly series, where we break down the latest patch notes for Deadlock. Now let's jump into the biggest hero changes from the latest patch. We'll be breaking down only the most important buffs, nerfs, and tweaks, so you can focus on what really matters and adjust your strategies accordingly. Kelvin Arctic Beam Fire Rate Slow got a massive nerf. The fire rate was nerfed from 80% down to 40%, which is a huge nerf. His ultimate was also adjusted. He can no longer freeze himself or teammates inside the ice barrier to keep hitting structures. Structures are now invulnerable and immune to damage, while inside Kelvin's ice barrier. McGinnis's healing ability got a huge buff. It now scales with spirit power, and the radius can become gigantic. Watch out for the big heal with the even bigger radius in your next games. Bebop's Hyper Beam now deals splash damage at the end of the beam in a 5-meter area, which means that you cannot hide as efficiently behind structures anymore as you used to do. Vindicta's Assassinate bonus souls are now shared with the heroes that assisted you with the kill. You will snowball less, but your entire team gets ahead at a much faster pace. Now let's move away from the heroes and jump straight into the most impactful item changes. Warpstone has been nerfed for the third time in a row. The warp range has been decreased from 13 meters to 11 meters. Mystic Shot now considers the bullet fall-off, which means that the further the target is away, the less damage the hit will deal. Soul Rebirth no longer grants the hero 20% weapon damage. This was to be expected since the item was in almost every late-game build. Ammo Scavenger's buff duration has been increased from 35 seconds to 40, and it also affects neutral creeps from now on, which is a gigantic buff. Surge of Power's imbued ability now grants the user a 10% fire rate buff, which lasts like the movement speed buff for 6 seconds. Now it's time for the general things that came with the latest patch. The minimap has been updated with new visuals and indicators. A low priority queue has been added to the game. You can be put into it if you keep on abandoning your matches. A communication penalty. If that gets put onto your account, only people in your party will be able to read your chat and hear you talk in-game. If you keep on making inaccurate reports, for example, reporting someone for feeding, even though he just had a bad game, you could eventually lose your reporting rights. Excessive usage of the pause feature could result into you not being able to pause anymore. If you keep on abandoning the games, you might get put into a low-priority matchmaking, where you'll be only matched with people who are also in that low-priority matchmaking. The orange lane has now become the green lane. The gates for matchmaking are now permanently open. You can play Deadlock now whenever you feel like it. A 6-player party will now not longer have solo queue players in the enemy team. Custom hero hotkeys have been added to the game. You can now bind each hero differently. There were some major miscellaneous changes. Let's jump right into them. The flex slot that was obtained after slaying the first walker has been moved from needing to slay one to needing to slay two. All abilities and items cooldowns got a 6% global cooldown increase. That means that everything has a longer downtime. The max respawn timer gets capped at 35 minutes now instead of 40 minutes, which means that you will respawn a bit faster later on in the game. The Tier 4 item costs went down from 6,300 souls to 6,200 souls. The game now registers the heavy melee attacks better, which will result into hitting them much more consistently. And last but not least, the new map changes, and what has been changed in that regard? Each base now has 2 new juke closets facing the patron. You can use them to your advantage. 2 new veils have been added in the 2 middle lanes. They are accessible through a small passage right next to the 2 shops. The visuals for the bounce pads got a complete overhaul. They are now a wind fan that blasts you away. Thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe for our future guides, builds, pro replays, and compact patch notes.